points higher. The NASDAQ futures are up 152 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Let's see. A lot less, but people are actually happier with it. That sounds like something to look into. And that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month. And that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
Here's the latest news and information that impacts you. I'm Derek White. A woman is dead after being attacked by dogs in Wichita. Police say 40-year-old Thomas was attacked while trying to break up a dog fight between two pit bulls at a home in West Wichita on Saturday. Thomas was taken to a hospital where she died from her injuries, and both dogs were surrendered to Wichita Animal Services. Northwest Kansas will be getting a new regional health care facility next year. When Citizens Medical Center opens up its new location, CEO David McCorkle spoke with NWKS Radio and said,
"We're about 60% complete. The progress has been very efficient. Our contractors, subcontractors, everybody out on the job site has just been doing a great job of meeting their timeframes."
McCorkle also recognized the rising cost of the hospital.
The total project cost, everything included, is about $130 million, but it really pales in comparison to some other projects. I mean, other healthcare facilities are many times the cost of that. So for our community, it's a big price tag, but for a healthcare facility, it's really not.
The medical facility is expected to open in April or May of 2026. Today, head to the Colby Event Center between 8:30 a.m. and noon for the Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge. More than 40 businesses will be on display from Colby students pitching their products and services. Thomas County Economic Development is proud to host this event for the 12th consecutive year, so be sure to check it out. The Sons of the American Legion in Oberlin are doing a dinner for breakfast fundraiser today, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Proceeds go to scholarships to graduating students. USD 315 Colby Public Schools will be holding a special board meeting on Thursday, February 27th at 7:30 a.m. in the boardroom of the Administration Building at 600 West 3rd. The purpose of the meeting will be for personnel. The Kansas State Treasurer will be touring the region beginning Thursday in Phillipsburg, Oberlin, Atwood, and St. Francis to speak with communities about unclaimed property, 529s, and ABLE accounts. For more information on this and other stories, visit nwksradio.net.
Rocket 102.5.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Bright sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 54. Northwesterly winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 27. Daytime highs approaching 62 tomorrow. Ample sunshine expected. Dry with temperatures a bit above average Friday and Saturday, and highs from the upper 50s to the low 60s. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 49 Sunday, 57 Monday, and 48 on Tuesday. Another look at the short range. We should top out at 54 today. Lows level off around 27 tonight, a high of 62 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Currently, it's 31 degrees.
Looking for big savings on a powerful new ride? Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas has you covered. Right now, drive home a 2025 Silverado 2500 with just 3.9% financing for 60 months. Need space and style? Get $1,000 customer loyalty cash on a 2024 Chevy Suburban. Or grab a 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 Pro Diesel. Originally just over $67,000, now just over $56,000 with a huge hail discount. Swing by Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Farmers, what do you expect from your crop insurance agent and company? Knowledge, service, peace of mind knowing you have the coverage you need for your operation? This is what you deserve and more. This is what you have with Rain and Hail Insurance and the girls at the insurance agency in Goodland. Now is the time to stop by the office to review and change your coverage before the March 15th deadline. Stop in and see Roxanne, Susan, and Judy at the insurance agency, located at 1020 Main in Goodland, or call 899-5011 for your peace of mind.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
H&R Block has many options to make filing your taxes easy. Our tax pros can help you get your max refund with or without the office visit. Drop in, drop off, or a tax pro can even do your taxes virtually. Send some pics from your phone without leaving home. Just another way Block has your back.
All tax situations are different. Not everyone gets a refund.
Hi, this is Ashley from your locally owned H&R Block. We'll get you every dollar you deserve with or without the office visit.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
And Max Gershon.
The Gershon build is short, but calves like this big. Big old calves.
The High Plains only local sports talk show. Broadcasting live on Rocket 102.5 and streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Not this again.
Yes, this again.
Covering it all from the preps.
Costa 1.7 chucks it up for the win. It's an air ball in the Colby Eagles. Victorious in Hugoton.
To the pros.
Mahomes stepping up again, tries to throw. Light caught! Touchdown! Kansas City! Travis Kelce owning this game.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with the insurance agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Just throwing to McGee, inside feed. Amos down to Blackwell inside, and he sends it down with the right hand.
Left wing to Riley. Left corner Boswell charges into the paint. Kicks it right corner KJ. 3 ball and he buried it.
Hit a tough one. Doncic behind the head. Reed wide open. Luka Magic on display in the purple and gold.
Thompson trying to get it in. Goes it down the floor to Usman. He's wide open. A boot to the rim for the slam. An exclamation point. 74-68. Inbound stolen by Dean. Buzzer sounds. Steve Lutz picks up his biggest win in his first year as Oklahoma State's head coach. Cowboys, as the students storm the floor, defeat number 9 Iowa State.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Off and rolling here on the Morning Blitz. February the 26th. A little chilly this morning with the wind out of the north at around, 10 to 15 miles per hour. But going to be the coolest day of the week, and it's going to be 52. So I don't know if we'll see Max out on the golf course today. Although, funny, our friend Riley Gates was on the golf course yesterday. He made a comment about how, last week ago, there was snow on the ground and it was too cold to even go outside. And a week later, I am standing here on the driving range hitting golf balls. So, did you happen to make it out to the links? You get outside yesterday at all, Max?
No,
Besides
I
the
ran
walk
some
to the
errands.
Jetta and the work office, you know?
No, I ran some errands, but I don't know. I don't know if the course is open yet. To be honest, it wasn't
I bet
open
the
on.
driving range is open. I'd be surprised. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
it wouldn't be. Maybe
true.
it's still a little damp over there. They don't want people
It is.
getting torn up, so I
Yeah,
can get that.
I don't know. So, no golfing for me yet. But I miss. That is the thing I miss the most about Florida, and even I just miss having that wide selection of golf courses in the palm of my hands. There's
Oh, yes.
so many great golf courses in the 20-mile radius that I could go to every morning, and you can golf year round, which is great. But
That's why people retire to Florida. So
I
you got to enjoy it. You're kind of like LeBron in reverse. You got to go to Florida for a little bit. Now, actually, you are like LeBron. You started in the Midwest. You went to Florida for a few years. Now you're back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is exactly right. Now I'm just waiting to go back to another coast, I guess, like LA or something. Who knows? Like LeBron did. Maybe I'm on a LeBron path.
Maybe you are.
might be onto something.
Maybe you're on a Braun path. We'll see. Today's show, we got lots to get to. Speaking of LeBron, we'll talk about Luka and LeBron's performance against the Mavericks last night. Against the Mavericks. I just split Luka and Mavericks, but that's actually correct. Last night, as they met, Luka faced his former team for the first time. We got some other news to get to today, including Colby baseball, softball, and basketball. We will be joined today by a first-time guest. Just message him on X right out of the blue. That would be Henry Greenstein of the Lawrence Journal World. I said, would you mind joining us, talk some Kansas up? Sure. So he will join us today on the Morning Blitz. A first-time guest, Henry. I think it's Greenstein. I don't want to say it's Greenstein. I think it's Greenstein, but I will confirm with Henry when we get him on the phone here today. But also tonight, K-State basketball at UCF. We'll have a little discussion about that coming up here a little bit in segment number 1, and we'll get to some sub-state basketball as that continued to roll along last night. Speaking of sub-state basketball, how you coming along, getting ready for your games on Thursday and Friday?
I'm excited. Have 2 interviews for the 2 separate pregame shows. It's a little weird not having 2 games preparing for the same night.
A double header.
No double header, which is going to be interesting. But yeah, I'm getting pumped up, calling some playoff basketball for the first time. It's really the first, because football, the playoff game was like, first of all, it was terrible. Obviously, for Colby, people that travel to Wichita know what I'm talking about. It was a rough one. But you kind of knew that going into that game. This is the first time where it's like, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be some competitive basketball, at least on the boys' side. We'll see what happens.
Yes, I don't think you're going to get that on the girls' side. So,
but eventually, we'll eventually.
Honestly, I will put money on this. This is just a thought. I'm guessing that Colby will win by double figures on the boys' side as well.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about
That's
Russell.
no offense to Russell. You'll realize over the course of time that teams that play in the GWAC, it's kind of like playing in the Big 12. You every single game is going to get you prepared, and it'll be a challenge. But when you get to the postseason, you're going to play teams that don't play the same type of schedule night in and night out like you do. And as long as you go out there and you play to your capabilities, it could result in you more than likely, getting a win is my point. So
I think
I would think going into the game, and this is no offense to Russell, I would just think going into the game, I think Colby will probably win by double figures.
Yeah, and that would lead to a fun next round for us. But I was gonna say
Colby Goodland round 5.
Round 5. I was gonna say the good question would be what will be a larger number? The difference between the Colby girls game and as far as the score, the differential of points, or will the boys score more points than that number? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you're saying Colby girls, the margin that they win by, that point total, or how many total points the Colby boys score?
Right. It could get interesting.
I'm going to take the boys on points scored.
That might be an interesting one,
I'll
though, to look
that.
through. Okay. That's probably the smart choice.
I think it's this, no offense. Once again, I can just see that being like a 50 to 12 or a 50 to 10 type game. You know, it's over in the second quarter. You kind of take your foot off the gas. You get your backups in there to play a majority of the second half. I see that happening in the girls' game. So I'm seeing like a 50 something to, a 10 to 14 type score. Where I see on the boys' side probably I don't know, 60 some to 40 some score. I don't know. 60 some to 40 some score, I guess, in my mind. We'll see.
Yeah. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, you got 2 games. I still have a doubleheader on Thursday. Goodland and Cimarron, for those who don't know, play Thursday, boys and girls, which I'm so glad they did this. Initially, I didn't know if they were going to do it. Keisha can sometimes do that deal where, hey, we want you to do this so we can get the gate for both games. And for 2 nights consecutively, this is just the way to go. I mean, Cimarron could have been on the road when it was all said and done, 12 hours, 3 hours here, 3 hours back, and then the next day, 3 hours here, 3 hours back. I mean, 12 hours of traveling in 2 consecutive days to play basketball in 2 games where they are, the underdog in both games. So I like the way that they're doing this and getting this done on Thursday so that both teams can move on with whatever, if it's a win or a loss for either team. So, which I expect wins for Goodland, but you never know. Teams get hot, as we saw last Friday. That can certainly happen. Speaking of basketball, last night, 1A D1 and 1A D2 boys began their postseasons. Some scores included Rollins County, a 9 seed, was blown out by the 8 seed Ellis in Ellis, 70-33. That ended the Buffalo season at 5-14. Decatur Community, who's a 6 seed, took care of the 11 seed St. Francis, 61-33. That will end the season, the Indian season at 3-16. Decatur Community, with that win, will advance into the next round, where they will take on, I believe it is Quinter in the next round. Yep. So they will take on in the semifinals. And then Tri-Plains Brewster lost at Western Plains last night, 63-22. It's been a really tough basketball season for Tri-Plains Brewster. The boys finished 0-20. The girls, I think, went 3-16, 3-17. So, like I said, 3-36 combined record between the Titans and Lady Titans this year. A tough season for Tri-Plains Brewster basketball. Such a proud program, but a couple of tough years here, and this one probably the toughest. Wallace County, the 5 seed, with the win over Pawnee Heights in 1A Division II, 64-31. They get the win. They will advance on to take Western Plains, who once again beat Tri-Plains Brewster. That will happen on Monday. And then Wheatland Grinnell defeated Golden Plains in the 7-10 game, 53-46. Thunderhawks will get Dighton coming up Monday, which is the top seed in that bracket. They're the number 2 seed in the sub-state, or in the regional, I guess you want to call that. But they're a 1 seed in their own individual bracket. And then Shiloh with a 63-30 win over Chase in the 6-11 game. Cougars will head to Hodgman County coming up here on Monday. So, once again, those teams get their first rounds out of the way. Now they'll wait until either Saturday on the girls' side or Monday for the boys' side to play their next games when it comes to the basketball. No games today on Wednesday. They will take this. There will be no games this Wednesday. There will be games next Wednesday on Ash Wednesday, which I do find to be fascinating that they will allow that. But nonetheless, there are no games tonight on this Wednesday. They will resume on Thursday with pretty much the other classes getting going, particularly 2A and 3A. Will get going with their classifications and everything going on. So we'll talk more about those games as we get closer. But I was going to pull up real quickly here. I'll get this as soon as I pull this up here. Pull up the brackets again and just kind of take a peek at what we're going to see going forward coming up here. First and foremost on the boys' side, and the 1A D1 bracket, it's going to be held. The championship game will be held at the Colby Event Center. You'll see Central Plains and Ellis in one semifinal on Monday. Greeley County and La Crosse in another semifinal in Substate number 1. So the Jackrabbits get a first round bye, and they will take on La Crosse in the second round. And then Substate 2 will have Downs Lakeside, the 2 seed, take on the 7 seed Ness City. And then Quinter, who had a bye at 13-6, will take on Decatur Community, who got that win over St. Francis. So you got Quinter and Decatur Community in one semifinal, and then Downs Lakeside, Nest City in the other semifinal in Class 1A D1. Not a little bit of local flavor, not a ton, with Quinter, Decatur Community, and Greeley County still alive in Class 1A Division 1. In Class 1A D2, boys, the Dighton Regional, Weskin got a first-round bye. They will take on Hutch Central Christian, who's 8-10, but don't overlook Hutch Central Christian. That's a really, really, really good basketball program. There's been many times where they have gone into the postseason with a losing record. They make it all the way to state, end up playing for a state championship. I've seen that happen many times before. So Weskin, who will play here on Monday in Goodland at the Max Jones Fieldhouse against Hutch Central Christian. That will be a challenging game for Weskin because Hutch Central Christian is a very, very good program. So that'll be a fascinating game to check out on Monday. And then on the other semifinal Monday, it'll be Western Plains taking on Wallace County. We'll see if the Wildcats can advance into the championship. And then in the southern substate, you've got Dighton, Wheatland, Grinnell, and then Hodgman County, Shiloh will be the other semifinal there. So there's a look at your brackets for Class 1A D1 or 1A Division 2 boys. And then we'll flip over real quickly to the girls and update those who maybe haven't gotten in here. I know Max doesn't have the brackets for this, and that's okay, Max. Don't feel bad. But Class 1A Division 2 girls, you've got Wallace County, Otis Bison in one semifinal, Wheatland, Grinnell, Golden Plains, and the other. There's a loaded semifinal right there. In the other side of the substate number 2 in 1A2, you got Shiloh, Pawnee Heights, and then Hodgman County, Dighton are your semifinal matchups. Those will all be played on Saturday, March 1st. By the way, there will be a game in Goodland, which will be Bird City and Pawnee Heights, or Shiloh and Pawnee Heights playing there in Goodland on Saturday. And then in Class 1A Division 1, the semifinal matchups include this is girls again, Quinter, Greeley County, Osborne, La Crosse in substate number 1. In substate 2, you've got Central Plains, Stockton, Rollins County, Decatur Community in the semifinals there of the girls bracket. So there you go. There you're all caught up on what's going on at this point in time in substate basketball. And like I said, we'll get to 2A and 3A on Thursday and into Friday. All right, so there's a substate basketball update. No games are again tonight in high school basketball. There is, though, Kansas State basketball tonight. The Wildcats will take on UCF tonight. Tip-off is set for 6 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. It'll be in Max's previous home of Orlando. Did you ever go to any UCF games when you were down there?
You know, it's. I went to football games.
Went to the bounce house.
Buddies that went there from Casey. I had a buddy that went there from Casey, so he took me to a couple football games.
Is it fun? Is the bounce house fun?
It's less fun when it's 99 degrees. And you get there 3 hours before the game to get a front row seat. It was toasty, but no, it was fun. They weren't that good that year, so it was the invite. And it was a day game. They go crazy at night games. That's kind of UCF's thing. But so I when UCF actually upset KU in Orlando. Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year, right? Because that was the first time they were in the Big 12, right?
Okay, yeah.
So they went to this was a big upset at the time, and my parents actually flew in to go into the game with me, and I realized the last second that I was actually calling a game that night at Rollins College. So I was calling a game at Rollins, and they went to the UCF game against KU. So kind of unfortunate.
At least you didn't miss much there, I guess.
Right. But they said it was a great environment at UCF, and it is. They've got. I mean, UCF is a fantastic campus, and there's like 70,000 kids there. It's insane.
Now it's like the biggest student population in the country, or pretty darn close, isn't it?
It's close. I don't know. I don't remember maybe it's Texas has the only one that's bigger, but it's like you don't realize that UCF has 70,000 students because you just don't hear about it as much unless you're in Orlando. But yeah, it's a massive place, but yeah, it's a cool environment though at their sports games for sure.
Well, they will host Kansas State tonight. A couple of teams around the bottom of the Big 12 standings. UCF is sitting third to last. Kansas State currently in a seventh to last position in the Big 12 standings. Right now, the line sitting at Knights or the USCF with a 4.5 point favorite. K-State, coming off a 66-54 loss to Arizona State, and one of the biggest reasons why they lost that game is they did not have their leading scorer, rebounder, assist man, steal man, and block man in Coleman Hawkins. I mean, so many people love to bash Coleman Hawkins, and has he played as a dominant player as I think they hoped he would be? No, but he's still leading your team in all those statistical categories. So I don't know what you're complaining about. So I don't know what you can say about that, but they were without him in that loss to Arizona State, which pretty much put dirt on top of the coffin of their NCAA tournament chances.
Yeah.
So now it's just about kind of playing for pride. And this is where you get interesting in college sports. When you have a bunch of guys that are just there to collect a paycheck per se, and haven't been invested into your university for more than maybe just a couple of months, what do you expect to get out of a group of guys as the season winds down here over the last 3 to 4 games?
Yeah. It's just, you'll see how competitive these guys really are. So, it'll be interesting to see for sure. They could right. Can't they technically just win the tournament?
Yes, of course they could win the tournament. And I guess that, they could win tonight and that could move them up to 8 and 9. Then they could maybe, they could possibly with a couple of wins. Remember, we talked about their schedule for Kansas State. It's not daunting. UCF tonight, home on Sunday against Colorado, which is a winnable game, at Cincinnati, which is another winnable game, before then you have to host Iowa State, which will be a challenge, but it is at home. So
Iowa State has struggled over the last month. Really, they've been inconsistent.
You can still, despite losing 3 in a row to Utah, BYU, and Arizona State, which, by the way, Utah fired their head coach here just a couple days ago, which I thought was interesting. Yes, yesterday they fired him, which I thought was interesting. But nonetheless, there's a chance, once again, that Kansas State could get a little warm here at the end of the season and find a way to put themselves in a decent seed in the Big 12 tournament to give themselves a shot,
right?
Maybe winning a game or two. And I think that's what you have to say you're playing for at this point in time.
Yeah. It's probably over, K-State fans, but there is still a chance. But
if you win the tournament.
Yeah, definitely. Right. That's the only chance. But I think in this particular game, I think that if K-State shoots the ball well and they play their style of offense, which they could against UCF, then I don't think UCF can keep up with their talent. But it just depends on what game they kind of fall into in the first half. If they're not shooting the ball as well, then UCF could pull it off. But I think if K-State's shooting it well and scores in that upper 70s, 80s range, then they should have no problem against UCF. I think it's so interesting that UCF has Mikey Williams in the starting lineup now. What a story he has been from high school to jail, or I don't know if he actually went to jail, but charges, and then he was the top prospect. And then he had these gun charges and kind of fell off, and now he's at UCF. And people used to think he was like,
refresh our memory. Where was Mikey Williams before?
Well, he was a high school, like number 1 prospect kind of guy. Like, he was big social media. Like everyone on social media and basketball hoops world, like knew about him and thought he was going to be like this really good guy, like really talented basketball player moving forward. And then just some off the court issues happened and he ended up at UCF. But he's not been playing terrible his freshman year. 5 points, not bad. So it's an interesting story that to kind of follow throughout his career, because everyone has known him for a while and he's been in the public for a while, but now he's says he's getting the start according to the Wichita Eagle. So
something to watch tonight. If you love points, I think tonight's game you want to watch.
Yeah.
Because UCF averages almost 80 points per game. Kansas State averages 71. UCF allows 85 points per game. So you're going to have to score some points tonight if you're Kansas State, I would think, against UCF, particularly in their gym there in Orlando, at the Addition Financial Arena. There's a fun name for you. But I think you're going to have to score some points tonight if you're going to win. What's the over under is 156 and 157 and a half. So, so we're going to have to score some points tonight, I think, if you're going to get a win. In this game, going to have to score some points. So that game will be, of course, on 100.3 The Ride, and you can watch it tonight on ESPN The Plus. You can get it on the Plus tonight. UCF and Kansas State. That once again is a 6 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Mountain Time tip They're from Orlando. All right, we're right at the bottom of the hour at 7:30 Mountain, 8:30 Central Time here on a Wednesday. Real quickly, the FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Brian chimes in. He wants to know what D1 games are at the Max and time Saturday. Yes, real quickly, Brian. So you've got on Saturday, Shiloh girls against Pawnee Heights girls. That is Saturday at 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain Time between Shiloh and Pawnee Heights girls. And then on the boys' side, it's Monday. Same exact thing, except it is Weskin and Hutch Central Christian. So Weskin and Hutch Central Christian will be played in the Max Jones Fieldhouse. That is that game will be played at 7 o'clock Central, 6 Mountain Time on Monday. So there you go, Brian. By the way, that boys game Monday, that will be interesting. I'm telling you, that will be an interesting game. Don't know much about that girls game. I would think Shiloh's probably going to get that done. Taylor McCarty's a dudette. But that Weskin Hutch Central Christian game, there could be a lot of good basketball being played in that game. All right, let's get to a break. We'll come back. Henry Greenstein is going to join us next from the Lawrence Journal-Ward and KUSports.com. You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Big savings are waiting at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get a 2025 GMC Sierra 2500 with 4.9% financing for 60 months, or drive off in a 25 GMC Sierra 1500 with $2,750 in rebates or 2.9% financing for 48 months. Plus, don't miss your chance to save big on their last hail vehicle, a 24 GMC Sierra 2500 Pro Diesel, originally just over $67,000, now just over $56,000. Deals this good won't last. Hurry to Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
It's time now for news from the world of agriculture on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
For the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network, I'm Kitlin Walters. Kurt Blades with the Association of Equipment Manufacturers says the lower trend in recent sales reports for agricultural machinery is a reflection of the challenging ag economy.
The equipment market has been pretty soft for the last year, really reflecting the overall ag economy and some of that uncertainty that comes with the overall ag economy. There's been some storm clouds on the horizon, whether that is related to weather, related to commodity markets, or related to geopolitical issues, or even just the lack of a farm bill. All these things lead to uncertainty. Unlike inputs that have to be purchased year upon year, like seed or crop protection chemicals, tractors sometimes can get delayed. And so we're seeing that reflected in the market right now. It's really that reflection of uncertainty. For the year of 2024, we ended up down for the year. And as we start out 2025, we're kind of seeing that same trend continue. And that's been across the board, whether it's the smallest horsepower tractors, those under 40 horsepower tractors that are currently down 10% from where they were this time last year, to those large self-propelled combines that are down, 75% from where they were this time last year. We're seeing some softness across the board. I expect that to continue until some of that uncertainty is cleared up. The one thing that gives me a little bit of hope when we see the numbers down for the month of January is that January typically is the slowest equipment sales month for farm equipment. So for us to see those numbers being short, obviously, I don't want to point to this as being a trend. It's more of a continuation of what we've seen before. You can't be in agriculture without being optimistic. These things too will pass. So as we approach planting season, farmers get optimistic, the weather comes out, and you want to take advantage of this latest and greatest technology that we're seeing out here at Commodity Classic and other places. So I remain optimistic that as those sales begin to pick up and farmers begin to have some of that certainty find its home, that these numbers will turn around.
That was Kurt Blades with the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. For the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network, I'm Caitlin
Our
Walters.
farmers feed us all. For generations, they've done what's best for the land. So why is the litigation industry threatening Kansas farmers' go-to crop protection tool? Without glyphosate-based herbicides, crop yields will drop, costs will soar, and we'll all see even higher grocery bills. Farmers need to be supported, not controlled. To keep glyphosate available in our state, go to take
785-332-2104. Again, that's 785-332-2104. The Cheyenne County Hospital on 210 West Street in St. Francis.
Whether it's touchdowns, home runs, or buzzer beaters, we've got you covered. It's the Morning Blitz.
Here we go.
Once again, going to be a pretty nice day today. Right now, 35. A little wind out of the north makes it a little brisk, but 54 expected the high today. I don't know. How many people did you see outside today or yesterday, Max? I mean, I saw everybody and their dog and cat.
It was good to see people outside, though. Because, I feel like I haven't experienced – I haven't experienced this summer in this city. So, good to see people out.
Haven't seen people in the city. Yeah, well, we'll see. You're going to see more of it here in the coming weeks, I'm guessing.
Good.
So, sort of that. This, by the way, today's the coldest day of the week. Going to get a whole lot warmer as we push forward. All right, let's push forward here on the show. We're going to get to some NBA and some other college basketball talk in our third segment, but we're pleased to be joined by a first-time guest here on the Morning Blitz. Glad he's able to join us from the Lawrence Journal-Ward and KUSports.com. That is Henry Greenstein, who joins us now on our Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline. Henry, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Always happy to go on a new show.
Well, Henry, I want to start off just your overall thoughts on just this season for Kansas Jayhawk basketball, because starting out the year, preseason number 1, have now fallen out of the top 25 for the first snapping a streak of 80 consecutive weeks that they were in the top 25. And now looking to kind of fight their way in the tournament, or they're going to be in the tournament, fight their way through the tournament, but despite being a lower seed. What's kind of your overall thoughts on this season and what it's been like covering KU men's basketball?
Yeah, it's been really interesting to experience. I think it's very easy to compare it with last year because the core personnel is the same, even if the pieces are around it are different. At the end of last season, Bill Self, he had this clear message that our shortcomings this year will be addressed and will be just as good as we have been in the past. And the shortcomings were seemingly addressed in the offseason. They surrounded Hunter Dickinson with shooters like Zeke Mayo and Rylan Griffin to help create spacing. They brought in AJ Storr, a second-team All-Big Ten player who was one of the top scorers in that conference when he was at Wisconsin. And, the pieces were in place for the team for that first preseason number 1 ranking to make perfect sense. Last year when they were preseason number 1, it was kind of easy to see, I think even then, that was maybe not going to work out so well for KU. They just missed a player prior to the season. They ended up being hampered by injuries. They really didn't have much depth even before the injuries. This year, it's been much harder to figure out what the issues stem from, and really just those pieces, as promising as they seemed, have not quite fit together. Zeke Mayo has been better than expected. David Coit, a transfer from Northern Illinois they got late in the summer, has been better than expected. But every other transfer has underwhelmed, and Self has kind of struggled to have a consistent lineup and rotation out there. And then even when the players and the amounts they're playing are consistent, the results they produce have not been. They hadn't won consistent games, nor had they won a game on the road, period, until they beat Colorado on Monday.
Henry, barring, a crazy turn of events and run here at the end of the season and heading into the tournament, what do you think that this season changes for KU's basketball program and Bill Self going forward?
That's a really good question. It'll be interesting to see how they approach evaluations in the transfer portal. I know Self said the other day that he's considered adding a general manager role of some kind, as we're seeing many prominent programs do across the country, but that the general manager would always answer to the head coach. And if he looked for a general manager, the primary thing he'd want would be an elite fundraiser, which to my mind is not necessarily what most general managers are charged with doing at this juncture. So it's hard to say. I do think that they have a little bit of a clean slate after this year. Not to say that the players they're losing haven't made great contributions this year and in years past. I mean, DeJuan Harris is number 2 in all-time assists at KU. KJ Adams' improvement year over. He was the most improved player in the Big 12 one year, could have gotten it next year. Hunter Dickinson has already gotten an All-American honor last year, and he'll probably get another one this season. But the ability to start with fresh with Darren Peterson, who I just saw as #1 in the 2026 ESPN mock draft this morning, currently the #2 prospect in the country behind A.J. Devonta, who's headed to BYU. The ability to start fresh with Peterson gives Self and his staff a chance to kind of shape what they think a modern era college basketball team should look like around Peterson. And I think it's going to be really intriguing to see exactly how they feel they need to supplement his skills. To my mind, they'll probably be in the market for a veteran ball handler to play alongside him and for some additional front court depth. But yeah, the offseason is going to look very different. I don't think it will be KU swinging on all the biggest players in the portal, kind of like it has been with A.J. Storr and Hunter Dickinson in the past couple of years.
Henry Greenstein's our guest from the Lawrence Journal-Award, covers Kansas basketball and Kansas athletics there for them at the Lawrence Journal-Award. You know, you bring up a fascinating point. Do you feel like, I'm sure a lot of coaches are in this spot, and just because Bill Self is one of the best coaches to ever do it doesn't mean that he's not immune to it, but how much is it just Bill Self trying to figure out how to build a team and to win in today's college basketball world, if you get what I'm saying, with the transfer portal, whether that means taking more portal guys or recruiting through the high school ranks and trying to keep them around? How much is it just him learning in these last couple of years where they've kind of struggled over the last few years underneath Bill Self? I saw a stat somewhere like, they've lost, I think in the last couple of years, 40 games, and they hadn't lost 40 in his first 12 years or something along those lines. And so how much of it is just him learning how to navigate this new realm of college basketball, you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, whenever there's a conversation like this, you have to have the caveat that they won a national title in the NIL and portal era. Now, granted, NIL recruiting going into the 21 to 22 season is nothing like what it has been these past couple of years. But KU fans tend to like to bring up that, when everyone says, oh, everyone can play the players now or whatever, KU has won a national title in the NIL era. But yeah, I mean, the results of back-to-back second-round exits followed by this year going to have almost certainly the lowest seed and Self's tenure kind of speak for themselves. I think it's been a bit of a process. I think that Self brought in this array of massively talented players, expecting to mold them to the system that he already uses, and he's found that some players can't quite be molded as easily as maybe he expected. He's talked a lot about how when you bring in transfers, they come in with preset habits, and that's not necessarily a good or bad thing, but sometimes those habits are difficult to disabuse them of. I think that's a lot of the issue with A.J. Storr. And even though he hasn't been in one place consistently during his basketball career, the way he's being asked to play, the effort he's being asked to put in on defense and rebounding, the ball movement he's being charged on offense are just things that are so foreign to him in some sense. And I think that it hasn't quite all come together in that department the way that anybody expected. I do think that they'll have to probably prioritize choosing players who are scheme fits more than they have. Hunter Dickinson made a lot of sense because for many years, Self hadn't had like a dominant big man in the middle, but think about the success he had in the past. And to some extent, I mean, Hunter Dickinson's been a great addition. Whereas I feel that A.J. Storr, in theory, a shot-creating wing works well, but if you look back at like his efficiency numbers at Wisconsin, hindsight's 2020, obviously, but there were some ways that maybe could have been foreseen this wasn't the greatest pairing. And of course, there's still time for Storr to change the way he'll be remembered at KU. Like Remy Martin wasn't really a factor until March, and he ended up being the key to that national title run. So I don't want to start talking in the past tense before events have concluded. But yeah, I mean, going back to what you asked about earlier, I think the portal evaluation strategy and needs to stress fit more than just pure unadulterated talent going forward.
Talking about A.J. Storr, this is something, Ross and I have discussed on the show already, but I want to get your thoughts on it. Do you think that there's been a lack of kind of meeting in the middle with Bill Self and some of these transfer guys that have struggled this year?
A little. I agree tentatively with that. The thing is, though, I don't think that, like, for example, I think that trying to redefine someone's entire play style is doomed to fail in some sense. However, I also think that Storr had plenty of opportunities, or has had plenty of opportunities over the course of the year to prove himself worthy of a bigger role and hasn't taken advantage of them. I mean, Colorado game, he couldn't buy a bucket. The Houston game, he went 0 for the field. He was like 0 for 4 or 0 for 5 from the field, and then 0 for 2 from the free throw line. He hasn't produced in even the way you would expect a pure scorer to produce, let alone functioned well within the constraints of Self's system. So I do think that probably in the over the course of the season, there were times where Self attempted to cut Storr a little bit more slack. I think about him playing extensively at TCU, but then that led to a lot of the KU community cheering on a performance where Storr had 12 points and 6 rebounds, and like that was great compared to what he's done otherwise, but doesn't even come close to matching the standard he had set in previous years of his career. I do agree with you to some extent, and that's part of why I said that they'll have to evaluate better when it comes to a player's skill set and philosophy in the future. But I also think that Storr has not necessarily done enough to warrant like gaining more ground or getting cut more slack by Self and the coaching staff.
Henry Greenstein, our guest from the Lawrence Journal-World. Back-to-back wins for the first time since, back in January, and they beat TCU and Kansas State. But now they've got 3 ranked teams in a row. 2 of them are at home, but 3 ranked teams to finish up the regular season. What do you think the final record is going into the Big 12 tournament for Kansas with these 3 games?
Well, I guess it depends how much stock you put into these last couple of results and how much you think the team has really bought into this new season mentality. Obviously, they looked a lot better against Oklahoma State than they did on Monday, but I mean, the simple act of pulling off a road win on Monday is something that in its old season, the KU team was struggling to do altogether. I'm leaning 2-1. I don't think that I think Texas Tech is reeling and dealing with some injuries a little bit. I think they only had like 6 players available when they lost to Houston the other day. Granted, they played Houston really close, and of course they had a win over the Cougars earlier in the year. But I think being at home will help KU. You know, I don't know if you guys have looked at Zeke Mayo's home and road split, but he's averaging like 8 more points per game and 15 percentage points better from 3 at home. I think you can count on a pretty good Zeke Mayo game on Saturday, unlike what he turned in on Monday. And I don't think KU will snap its senior day streak against Arizona. Granted, a lot of other KU streaks have fallen by the wayside. They lost a conference opener at home to West Virginia this year. I think they win both at home, and I think they probably don't keep it particularly close against Houston on the road again like last year. So I think they go 2-1, and then we'll see what the Big 12 tournament holds exactly. Obviously, they'll be playing on an earlier day than they're accustomed to. The exact matchup will kind of be interesting because I think that KU has shown that certain teams' personnel lines up much better against them than others. But yeah, I mean, there's enough optimism in the air at this point compared to a week ago at this time that I do think it's quite possible for KU to win both home games and move the one on the road.
One final one from me, just based upon, because I just find it fascinating. What did you make of the whole situation, Bill Self having to talk before the Oklahoma State game about possibly taking the Oklahoma State job in the past and that whole deal with Barry Trammell? What was your taking of that for a guy who follows the program as close as you do, Henry?
Yeah, that was really interesting, wasn't it? I mean, the whole thing, the timing, the details contained within the story, the sourcing of the story. Obviously, Barry Trammell is a venerable columnist with many decades of experience in Oklahoma, and anything he reports is going to be ironclad. I mean, I think you're talking about meeting in the middle earlier. I think that the reality is somewhere in the middle between maybe how KU fans read that article and how OSU fans read that article. I think that absolutely, I believe Selfie's talked to them every time they've had an opening about what the program can do going forward and who good candidates might be. But Self was asked directly if he had an offer, and he said he talked to them. Like, he didn't directly answer the question. I mean, I don't want to speculate too recklessly, but I have little doubt that Oklahoma State would be foolish not to try to get its incredibly accomplished alum to at least consider talking to them. I don't know that Self seriously considered that in any meaningful way, but I thought it was a little odd that he took so much issue with the phrasing that he was holed up in a lodge in Stillwater, the way that Trammell put it in his article. Because, like, you know, you could spend a lot of time at Karsten Creek and just stay somewhere other than in Stillwater. I thought that particular aspect of what Self said was maybe a little bit of a distraction from the substance of the matter. But otherwise, I'm inclined to believe the substance and the sentiment of what he said, that they have great people over there. He's interested in their success. It's not a kid's expense. And yeah, it was a really interesting thing. Of course, given the timing and the fairly late stage he's at in his career, and just one of those things that, you know, you wake up one morning, you don't foresee that the entire day is going to be about Oklahoma State, and then that takes over the entire news cycle, and it was interesting to go through.
Absolutely. He is Henry Greenstein of the Lawrence Journal-World. Henry, thank you so much. It was great having you on. We'll have to do this again. Thank you so much for the time. Be well.
My pleasure. Great talking with you guys.
Once again, great stuff there from Henry Greenstein. He was fantastic. We'll have him on again. I guarantee that. If he'll have us back, we'll have him on again. I guarantee that for sure. Let's get to a break. We'll come back and wrap the show with some more basketball talk next here on the Morning Blitz.
At FNB Bank, we know family comes first. Whether you're opening a savings account for your kids, buying a new home, or planning for the future, we're here to help every step of the way. With personalized service and flexible options, we make banking easy for your growing family. FNB Bank, serving families, strengthening communities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Winter is tough. Be tougher with Cub Cadet X Series snowblowers. With 3 levels of snow clearing power, this lineup is built to handle harsh conditions. With features like push-button electric start and finger-controlled power steering, you'll make quick work of whatever winter throws your way. Seize the season with the Cub Cadet X Series, engineered for extreme. Head to your local Cub Cadet dealer, Colby Ag Center LC, at 305 East Horton for exceptional offers, expert advice, and excellent service.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Farmers, what do you expect from your crop insurance agent and company? Knowledge? Service? Peace of mind knowing you have the coverage you need for your operation? This is what you deserve and more. This is what you have with Rain and Hail Insurance and the girls at the insurance agency in Goodland. Now is the time to stop by the office to review and change your coverage before the March 15th deadline. Stop in and see Roxanne, Susan, and Judy at the insurance agency, located at 1020 Main in Goodland, or call 899-5011 for your peace of mind.
Breaking down the plays, the players, and the passion.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
This is the Morning Blitz.
Once again, big thanks to Henry Greenstein. He was fantastic from the Lawrence Journal-World. Already saying, tell him we'll have him back soon. He was very, very good. Very insightful. Real quickly, some quick news headlines from yesterday on the local front. Congratulations to Chase Harris, Fort Hays Tech Northwest guard, named the Jayhawk Conference Player of the Week after he was absolutely unbelievable. He had 39 and 11 against Pratt, had a double-double at Dodge City, had 15 points, 6 boards, 3 assists in the upset win of 13th-ranked Barton here this past weekend. So a second leading scorer in the Jayhawk at just shy of 22 points per game, 11th leading scorer in the nation is Fort Hays Tech Northwest guard Chase Harris, who was named the D1 Basketball Player of the Week here yesterday. Also, baseball yesterday, Colby Community College baseball. Should have gone there, Max. Should have gone, checked out the Trojan baseball team.
I'll get out there.
Swept Lamar yesterday, won 10-0 and 14-4. They've won 3 in a row and sit at 3-5 on the season. And Colby softball, they are in action today. They will play at Dodge City in their Jayhawk Conference opener today. Lady Trojans underneath a new head coach. Very, very good start, 7-3 to begin their 2025 season. Also, Colby Community College basketball in action today on the road at previously mentioned Barton. So a busy day for Trojan Athletics and Kenny Hernandez and crew. So there you go. Last night as well in the NBA, it was the game that everybody was hoping to see, and I'm sure a lot of people tuned in for that as the Lakers hosted the Mavericks in the first game with Luka against his former team. What did you think of that game last night, Max? The biggest thing that stood out to me was the pass, the behind-the-head, no-look pass from Luka to just absolutely in the shooter's pocket and knocking in a three. That was a beautiful, beautiful play.
Yeah, I mean, Luka, he was even talking in the post game about how nothing was falling for him. He had a triple double, so you can't really ask for much more. But as far as scoring, he was talking after. You could tell he wanted some more than the 19 points he had. They actually took away 3 points that they reviewed and said he was out of bounds. But look, I mean, Luka's fantastic, and the fact that this was probably the first game I've ever watched in the NBA where LeBron is on the court. And I almost I wasn't focused on LeBron at all. He was playing off the ball. It was such an interesting, but he still, balled out. LeBron did too. And this is the Lakers team that can be scary. Their defense is very worrisome, though. I mean, they have no center. They have absolutely no center. Jackson Hayes is there, but their defense is definitely worrisome because this is a Mavericks team that didn't have AD playing, didn't have Gafford, didn't have Lively. It was just kind of Kyrie and company last night. But this was an awesome game. I mean, how many times do you see a trade like this happen? Then they play a few weeks later with all of these stars on the court and all these guys. Worst night, you could say, than Nico Harrison, the Mavericks GM, watching Luka ball out. I guess maybe you could say that there's a certain Ole Miss football player that might have had a worse night. If you know, you know. I'm not going to tell that story. That's something you can look up on your own time. But rough night for the Mavericks watching Luka, and I can only imagine how their fans, what they were going through watching that game.
The fascinating thing to me about this whole ordeal is the amount of ESPN is just drooling over this whole ordeal. They are literally just drooling over the Lakers going 7-2 since Luka joined the team. And they're just the ESPN predictor is going off saying, the Lakers have the second best chance to win the Western Conference now. God, they just love this. ESPN
they do, though. They really do have the
love this.
They really do, though, Ross. I mean, this is a fantastic basketball team now. They can outscore anyone when they need to. The defense, again, is a problem. But the Thunder are the only team in my mind. I don't think the Nuggets have played well enough this year to compete, unfortunately, for any Denver sports fans out there. But they're fun to watch. I mean, this is what basketball needed, and now you have a chance to see, some rivalries, some interesting storylines going into the playoffs, especially in the Western Conference. So it's good for the NBA. It is what they needed. It's been dry on storylines since LeBron and Curry stopped playing each other every single year, and they've needed something like this. So I'm really excited for the NBA to keep picking up some steam going into the playoffs, because I know people don't like it, like some of the playing style, but when it comes to the February, March, April, the playoffs type of atmosphere, the NBA is a fun watch, and I'm excited for the playoffs.
High drive, deep left, grand slam! And back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off three? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there! Hardman! Jackpot! Kansas City!
Max, what do you got for the walk-off today?
I tell you what, the Rockies are having a heck of a spring training in the headline.
Dominic Fletcher again after.
Sorry about the audio, but just Jeffrey Yan guy. Look at this reaction. This is a little, for the video stream viewers, this is a new pitcher for the Rockies. They signed a Dominican that has the craziest reactions you will ever see to striking people out. He jumps up, he does the splits, he shoots the bow and arrow. It doesn't matter. He'll do it all. And he is a fun watch for the Rockies this season if he makes it to the big leagues, because he will celebrate every strike he throws and every strikeout like he just won Game 7 of the World Series. So another fun spring training moment for the Colorado Rockies. Got to say, haven't seen them in the headlines this much since probably Carlos Gonzalez retired.
The Rockies have outscored their spring training opponents 43-19 in 6.
Hey now, watch out for them Rockies.
Wow,
they might be coming out in the NL Central. Who knows?
Well, if they're
Chris
coming out of the
Bryant?
NL Central, that'll be amazing because they're in the West.
Or the West. Shoot. Why are they in the? They should be in the Central. In the West. They might come out. Yeah, who knows? Dodgers. Watch out. The Rockies are in town now.
Yeah. Once again, it's spring training. It don't matter one iota. Don't matter. Have a great spring training all you want. You'll stink it up in the regular season. Mark my words. Mark my words.
How many games will Chris Bryant play this year before we go off? 16?
16? I'll take the over.
You'll take the over?
I'll take 33. I'll double that.
That's a good one. Will the boys score more points than Chris Bryant will games played?
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, they will score more points than what Chris Bryant will play. Yes, they will. All right, that'll do it for our program. Thanks to Henry Greenstein. Thanks to you for tuning in. We're back again tomorrow on a Thursday. We're going to talk wrestling with Mike Holiday as state wrestling gets going on Friday. So make sure you tune in for that. We'll see you here in 23 hours on the Blitz.